Hey, what up, guys? It's me again, and welcome to the This Is My Moment podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Mitchell, and here at This Is My Moment, we love to smile, we love meeting new people, and we love having a good time. Oh yeah, it's season 2, baby. Let's go to work.
There ain't no stopping it, this is my moment. Join the movement, we bringing people together, bringing positivity, making changes for the better. Cause it's all
So I told you guys, man, in season 2 we was gonna do it crazy. I got a cat with me right now, man. He from Canada. He in Canada. So we talking to our neighbors to the north. I think that's what we used to call it, right? Hey, introduce yourself to the family.
Hey everybody, name is Blake, 49, well sorry, 48, will be 49, can't remember my own age half the time, and I work as a personal trainer. I do some motivational speaking myself, been dabbling in acting, just finished shooting a commercial, and I also am a writer for a fitness magazine. And you want me just to kind of leave it at that for now and let you...
Close it out. Let me ask you some questions.
Sounds good.
So here's the deal, man. Before I start asking questions, I'm researching it, right? I'm looking up who this cat is, right? And I come across this thing, and it says Silverback Viking. Is that a true statement?
That is what my buddies call me. That's my online persona.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Is there a version of this story that's PG-ish that you could tell the family?
Kind of PG, yeah.
Make it PG.
I play poker with some of my buddies. We get together about once a month. Yeah. And to be honest, this is more a bunch of first ex-husbands club than a poker game. We complain more about what we pay in alimony and child support. And Yeah. Then we actually do play cards. We actually have a printout of what hand beats what on the table. So when somebody asks for the piece of paper, you see how far down their hand goes. You know roughly if you should stay in the hand or not. But anyways, we're sitting there the one night. It was getting pretty late in the evening. There were a couple of, we'll say, beverages consumed.
I like that.
And some of my friends were trying to decide if I looked more like a gorilla, a silverback, or a Viking. And the two sides started to get a little heated because there were some beverages involved, and kind of slurred it out. I said, well, why don't you just call me the Silverback Viking? And everybody just kind of paused, and that's how I ended up with the nickname.
We gonna do it. We gonna find a way to have some fun anytime, man. I love it. That's a great story, man. That's great. I'm gonna just tell you this, man, before I ask the first question. I'm loving the cut. I'm loving the goatee and beard, brother.
Yeah. I appreciate what you got going on there as well.
Appreciate that. It's real trendy.
I just did this about a month ago. I did a commercial for TELUS in Toronto, and I had the full head of hair, the full beard and everything, and they asked me to go down to this, and gotten this look before, and I was like, hey, I kind of like this. Got rid of a lot of the white hair that I had, so.
I dig it. All right, let me ask you a question, man. 2018, heart attack.
Yeah, that was quite the year.
Give me a little bit, man. Tell me about what happened.
January 18th, I was walking down the street, Yonge Street in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I knew something was coming. I had the warning signs for a couple months beforehand. Like I had the pains in my left arm, couldn't hardly catch my breath, felt like my heart was going to jump out of my chest. I was in my early 40s, and I did what any guy in their early 40s would do. I ignored it. If I just keep walking, I'll be fine. But I was over 530 pounds at the time. And I wasn't fine that day. I remember reaching out to grab the building next to me to steady myself.
Yeah.
And then the next thing I know, I'm floating in this absolute abyss of nothingness. And for me, it felt like I was in that for hundreds and hundreds of years, but it was actually only about 45 seconds. Luckily, there were paramedics close by. They brought me back, and I had angioplasty done. I spent some time in the hospital. When I fell from the heart attack, because of how heavy I was, I blew out my left knee, tore my ACL, damaged the MCL, LCL. So I had to recover from that as well.
Yeah.
But that was definitely a wake-up call for me, that if I didn't make some life changes, my daughter wouldn't know who I was.
Let me ask you this, Blake, man. You said brought you back. I ain't the smartest cat, but when you come back for something, that means you went somewhere. Did they give you, or did they pronounce you dead or something?
My heart had stopped, and they did bring me back.
Okay.
Yeah. So while I briefly mentioned, like when my heart had actually stopped, and for me, like I was no longer here. For me, it felt like I was just floating in this absolute abyss of nothingness. It was no light, no sound, and for me, that felt like it was hundreds of years, but it was only a couple of seconds.
That's crazy. Let me ask you this. So when they brought you back and you came back, your knee was messed up, man, 530 pounds, whatnot, and you decided to make that change. What is the very first thing that you changed, man? Like, what did you change first?
My mindset. That was the very first thing that I had to change. Anybody has to change is you have to be ready to make that change. It's a complete lifestyle change that you make.
Yeah.
I was fighting with some mental health issues at the time too, which is why I had gotten so big.
Yeah.
It was mostly my life choices. I turned to beer and alcohol, and I was drinking almost a case of beer a day, and I was ordering in a couple pizzas a day kind of thing. And I literally, I just sat on the couch and felt miserable because of how big I was. And the worse I felt about how big I was, I turned to food because that's what I always turned to for kind of emotional trauma or anything.
Yeah.
And it was this cycle I was caught in.
Let me ask you this, man. You talk about mental health, and I'm a component of mental, spiritual, and physical health.
The three of them are all combined.
All being in balance. And when one is out of sorts, you kind of feel different, right? And maybe you can't put a name on it, you know what I mean? But once you get it all back in line, you can start changing that lifestyle, right? When you change your mentality, when you change the way that you thought about it, was everything else easier, or did you still have to like put that super effort in? Because I know it's going to be effort, but sometimes at that process and at that weight, man, and then change it mentally, but you still like comfort food. Like I still like pizza and beer. Like where were you at mentally, man, to make that change?
My dad was pretty young when he passed away. We lost him to cancer just over 20 years ago. And I have a baby brother, and my brother was very young when my dad passed. And that was a part of it for me as well, was knowing the pain my brother went through having lost his dad that young.
Yeah.
That I didn't want my daughter, because my daughter was 12 when this all happened. I didn't want my daughter to lose her dad. So that was also a motivating thing for me. That played in my mind constantly. It's like, I'm not going to end up like my dad. So with that change in my mental mindset, and that was really helped me get my emotions under control, because I was an emotional leader. I touched on that a little bit. And with that, then the physical started to come along as well. Like between the heart attack and blowing out my knee, literally when I was out of the hospital, I would go from my backyard, my back door on crutches to where the fence was. It was about 40 feet. And it took everything I had just to walk those 40 feet. And I'd stand at the fence, open the fence for a couple minutes in order to turn around and walk back. And that's how I started, was just these little walks in the backyard.
Man, that's crazy. But you know what? The furthest journey
starts with that single step.
Starts with a single step. So, man, congratulations, man, and good for you. I'm gonna ask you something, and I'm not making a joke, but it says that you lost 300 pounds.
Yes.
Do you know that's two people?
I
You literally lost the weight of having two people. What? And when I think about that, right, I think, man, for me, when I go through my weight phases, right, and I go to the gym, and then I plateau because I lose a certain amount, right, and then I kind of get down on myself because I hit that mark, and it takes everything that I have to go under that, but then it's easy to go above that, right? Were you a gym guy? Were you a cardio guy? Like, when you hit that plateau, right, when you started stalling out, what did you do to drop it and keep moving down? What'd you do?
A couple of things. So like when I started out, I was a cardio guy, because for me, the biggest thing was getting the weight off, taking that pressure off of my heart. When I got down close to about 325 pounds, like I should mention, like I'm 6'7", so me at 325, it's not a bad weight for me. Yeah, like I'm sitting at 280 right now as it is.
Yeah.
But so once I got down around that 325 and I started to plateau at that weight, that's when I started actually lifting the weights, getting into the bodybuilding lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I also hired my own trainer at the time too. Like I now train people myself, but I still have my own trainer, and my trainer has a trainer.
Yeah, of course.
It's that trickle down of information that we have as well.
Yeah.
That's solid, man. You say 6'7". I know why they call you the Silverback Viking, brother. You a big dude.
Well, I find it funny because like I know I'm a big guy, but I don't really see it in my head just how big I actually am until like last night when I was out at the restaurant and I'm walking through the restaurant and I'm with my friends in that, and they're average height people, about 5'7", 5'8", around in there, and I'm standing a good foot above all of them. And people in the restaurant are all turning to look, and I'm like, well, what's everybody looking at? And I'm trying to figure it out. And then my friend Steph is like it's you they're looking at them.
What you looking around for, man? You the reason.
Well, actually, so I do have to tell you this story. I'll keep it PG. So I was out for dinner last night, like I was saying, we were having some beverages, and so I had to use the men's room. So I walked into the men's room, and you walk into the door, and the stalls are here. Then you turn over this way, and next to the stalls is where the urinals are, the two urinals. And there's one guy standing there already using the urinal. There's no divider between the two of them. And as I'm walking over, I'm about 5-6 feet away from that, and all of a sudden he turns around and he goes, holy crap, he says, I'm standing here peeing, and he says, all of a sudden everything just went dark. And I didn't miss a beat. I just looked at him and said, yeah, well, some of my friends call me Eclipse.
Come on, man.
Oh, the way the guy was laughing, I said, I'll let you finish up. I won't like squeeze in there next to you. He's like, oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, like, you know what's funny, man? Like to me, I'm listening to you laugh and joke and smile, man. And when people see you, I'm quite sure with the bald head and the goatee that's not what they getting. Is this? We used to call them friendly giants. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
man.
So yeah, man, good for you, man. And glad you let him finish, man. Don't make him nervous.
Well, I've been on the other side of that when I was a lot younger and not as big. It would be like you're big, and also this great big guy would stand next to you. It's like, well, I guess I'm done.
Let me ask you this, man. So for me, right, when I was going through my body formations, I told you that I was never a scale guy, right? I was never a scale guy. I think to me the scale was, I don't know, man. It just didn't treat me right. I was a clothes guy because I could gain muscle mass, right, and still be the same weight, but it looked different. It felt different, right?
Different body composition, yeah.
Right. So I'm a clothes guy. I like the way my clothes fit. I like the way they look. Not so much a scale guy. When you were going through that formation, when you're talking to your clients, what are you preaching, or are you preaching something different for you and something to the clients? Like, what are you telling them? What are you telling yourself? What are you?
It depends on the client I'm talking to as to what I go by. I have some clients who were in a similar position I was, that rather larger people. And with them, I do push the scale at this point because that's the main thing for them is getting the weight down. We're focusing on dropping the weight. I have some other clients that are not really overweight, like maybe 10, 15 pounds above what they want to be.
Yeah.
But they also say, oh, my favorite thing is when I give a new client, say, oh, I just want to tone.
Yeah.
Those people, I push more the body composition, the way the clothes feel, the measurements, not the weight. Because what this kind of gets me sometimes when people say, oh, a pound of muscle weighs more than a pound of fat. No. They're both a pound. But the pound of fat isn't as dense as the pound of muscle. So like people are quite surprised to find out that I'm still 280 pounds. Because like I still have, I don't have great abs at the moment, but I still have the lines there. Yeah. But because I have a fair amount of muscle on my frame right now, it's dense, so they don't see the weight. Where I've had pictures where I was sitting around 240, 250, and I look heavier than I am now because of the difference in the body composition.
Yeah.
So for myself personally, when I first started my journey, I was a scale guy. To the point that it almost became a problem. I caught myself, I was weighing myself multiple times a day. Yeah. And that's something that started to mess with my mind. Because throughout the day, especially when you're bigger, the scale can fluctuate quite a bit. Like even now, my weight fluctuates 6 pounds in a day.
Yeah.
And I know that because the relationship I have with the scale now is I weigh myself when I first get up in the morning, and then I weigh myself again right before I go to bed.
Yeah.
I weigh myself twice a day versus the 5 or 6 times I used to. And I've had some clients who have done the same thing where they'll send me a check-in. They're like, well, at this time on this day, I weighed this much. And then an hour later, I weighed this. An hour after that, I weighed that. And is my scale broken? It's like, well, no, you're also telling me you ate meals and drank water during that time. So of course your weight's going to go up, and everything we put into our body, it comes out at some point. So that brings your weight down. And yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. How mentally tough, man? How mentally tough was it to lose those 300 pounds, man? Like, I sit here and I struggle with 30 pounds, man. Like, I couldn't imagine, like, the mental fortitude that it took. What was your motivation to keep going, man? Besides your daughter, you said your daughter because your pops left early, but at the end of the day, you can do it for someone else. But it all starts here, right? Like, how tough were you mentally, man?
We touched a little bit about how all three are intertwined.
Right.
Yeah. For me, it was tough. I'm not going to say it was a walk in the park. It wasn't easy. But at the same time, I knew what the consequence was if I didn't lose that weight. Literally, my life depended on me losing that weight.
Yeah.
So that was quite the motivational factor. I surrounded myself with good people who helped support you, which, yeah, exactly. You have like that one rotten apple with a bunch of apples, and then they all turn. It's the same thing with people. You have one person with that negative mindset, and you're the sum of the 3 people you spend the most time with. So make sure those 3 people support you, help motivate you, and inspire you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's actually, no, I can't say that. I'm going to keep it PG.
You know what's funny, right? In my speeches, man, I talk about addition by subtraction, right? And a lot of people look at me crazy, right? When I say, like, how do you do that? I said, this is why. And it's just what you said. I have 3 people. 2 of those people are super positive. One of those people is negative. So I have 3 people, but only 2 are benefiting Patrick, right? So now I'm down to 1 person. You take away 1. So what I do is I surround myself with only positive people. So I take away that guy, the negative guy, I still got 2. So now instead of having 1 positive person, because you done offset 1, now I got 2. So I continually take and change the way that my circle looks depending on what value you add to me. And this is the thing. I'm not a me person. Like, I am not a me person. But at the same time, I don't want who I am and what I believe in and the positivity in my light to be darkened because someone else's everything that comes out of their mouth is negative. Oh man, you can't do it. Why don't you just do this instead? Why don't you go get this? Why do you keep fighting for this? Like I don't want that. Like, I want the people in my circle to be like, hey, you gonna try it? Let's go do it. Hey, don't stop doing it, man. Oh, hey, man, it's getting tough. I know it's tough, but you can do it. If anybody can do it, you can do it. You know what I mean? And those are the people that I keep in my circle to this day. And I tell people, my circle is the size of a period, brother. It ain't that many cats in it. And you know what? Exactly. And I'm just fine with it. How is your support structure now? Do you have those same cats in your life that at 530 that you do at 280? Or did you change the circle?
My circle is constantly evolving, depending on what I don't say what I need, but what I aspire to have in my life.
Yeah.
Been doing a lot of acting the past little bit as well, which is something I've wanted to do since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
So right now, it's my circle is kind of fluctuating a little bit from the bodybuilding fitness people, the motivational people I have in my life too. I'm bringing a couple of actors and directors in as well.
Yeah.
It's just, like I said, it's just constantly evolving depending on where I am in my life at the moment.
Yeah.
It's some of my friends actually, they're doing a lot of the obstacle runs, the mud runs, running marathons. I am not a runner. I will never be a runner. They can go and run that, and I tell them, like, I'll be there cheering you on at the finish line or something, or part way. But yeah, I will never be doing those runs with them.
Yeah. So, man, I tell you, like, I've been looking into trying to dabble into acting, right? And I saw that you did a commercial, right? So, I'm going to touch on that, but I'm going to ask you something first. I saw that you won Toronto Lifestyle Pro Show 2022. Is that a thing?
Yeah. So, how many years ago was it? About 5 or 6 years ago, I was scrolling through Facebook one morning, having my morning cup of coffee that I'm working on right now as well. And I saw this thing pop up called Radical Body Transformations.
Yeah.
And I started reading it a little bit, and it was about people like myself who had gone through something in their life which caused them to not be happy with how they were physically and then make changes. And so I don't know why. Usually I see something like that, I'm like, oh, that's nice, and I just keep scrolling. But this time I actually sent them my story with my to the email they had and everything. And I have now been a part of, I'm going to call them my family, this Radical Body Transformation family, for a good 5 or 6 years.
Solid.
And it was through them that they had this transformation category at the Toronto Pro Show last June. And it was the first time they ever had that.
Yeah.
And so it was great because I got to meet these people I've been friends with online for 5 or 6 years, finally get to meet a lot of them in person.
Yeah.
And it was the amount of camaraderie behind the stage, because it wasn't your typical bodybuilding show. Like I did go out and swim trunks for the first round, but then they had like where I was wearing shirt, tie, dress pants.
Yeah.
And what was nice is when you went out, they had two great big TV monitors on either side of the stage. Yeah. They had your before pictures on there, and then the MC gave a little blurb about like what you started at, what you went through. And here he is now. And at that point, you walk out on stage.
Yeah.
And just being backstage, hearing the stories of the people. And there was quite a few tears shed by people, manly tears, but there were still tears shed. But a lot of times in other bodybuilding shows I've been involved with, there's the competitors don't talk to each other. They're very hush-hush about everything.
Yeah.
Backstage, we were cracking jokes with each other. We had about 3 or 4 steps to get up to the stage.
Right.
And so myself and one of the other guys, we were on the one side of the stage. We were helping some of the ladies get up on stage in their heels and that, because they're wearing longer dresses too for the one. So one of the competitors even had lost her leg just below the hip. So we helping her up on stage, and 2 of the other guys are on the other side of the stage helping the ladies get down off the stage.
Yeah.
And it's just this absolute feeling of family, and it was so nice.
That's what's up.
It did cross off a major thing on my bucket list was to step on stage. Right now I am working on adding some muscle to my body. I'm taking about 2 years off from any of the photo shoots or the competitions to focus on eat a clean bulk. I'm going to eat clean, but add some muscle. And then I'm hoping the year I turn 50 to do another prep and get on stage and do an actual classic physique show instead of a transformation one.
Good luck to you, brother. I can't wait to see what happens.
It's getting harder as I get older, but I'm not going to stop.
So, at the end of every show, I like to see how genuine you are with your answers, right? I started last season, and I actually named it. We're going to play a little game. I call it Pick One. I'm going to give you 2 choices. And I'm not going to throw you under the bus. It's not nothing like that, but you're going to have to choose a little bit. Yeah, nah, none of that, brother. Here we go. You ready?
Okay.
Acting or motivational speaking?
Oh, that's a tough one. As much as I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, at this point, I'm going to have to go with the motivational speaking.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
You just told me that you wanted to be an actor since you was a kid.
Oh, I know. But the thing is in the past 5 years, I've had so many people reach out to me through social media saying, hey, I stumbled across your story and thank you for being so transparent with everything you've gone through.
Yeah.
If you can do it, I can do it kind of thing. And just being able to make that kind of an impression on a complete stranger makes me feel so good that, as much as I would love to be the famous actor and everything, I would much rather be able to have made that positive change in people's lives, which is why I had to say the motivational speaker.
You sound like a we person too, not an I person, brother.
I try my best to be.
Good for you, brother. We're two kin spirits, man. Here we go. Next one.
Okay.
Working out or training?
Training. Definitely training.
Yeah, you're a we person. Last thing. If I give you the phrase, "This is my moment," what's the first thing that comes to your mind? This is my moment.
It's about damn time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Silverback, we're done.
Thank you so much, Patrick. It's been an honor.
Hey, guys, this is the deal. Find your why. Find your reason to make you push on. Find the reason inside of you as a person that makes you want to be a better person. You got to have a reason to keep pushing. If not, it's going to be super easy to fail. Find your why. And at the end of the day, go get it!
Join the movement, we bringing people together, bringing positivity, making changes for the better. Cause it's all about growth, all about success. We wanna see you rise, wanna see you at your best.